All right, what is up, UNT? Welcome to another edition of the Clubhouse. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Jason Feltz. We'll go ahead and hop right into it. Got a lot of excitement from this past weekend and these upcoming weeks. Before we go around the Clubhouse, I wanted to give a quick congratulations to our newly added club golf team. We just got them in this week, so congrats to those guys. What their president, Madison Lewis, has been setting up has been awesome. I know they're going to have a ton of success in the near future, so congrats to them. Let's go ahead and hop around the Clubhouse. We had two teams out in Richardson this past weekend, both coming back with a W for the Mean Green. Rugby team went and had a resounding 49-12 win over University of Texas at Dallas. It's a good bounce-back win after their loss to Angelo State in the previous weekend. They'll be in action again down in College Station against Texas A&M for this upcoming Saturday. Additionally, we had the men's lacrosse team. They went out and stole one from UTD in overtime, score of 9-8. An exciting one out there in Richardson for those guys. We'll see them again in Denton on November 4th against Dallas Baptist. Men's baseball, they're riding their high after their Wood Wars tournament win a few weekends back. They're going to be playing UTSA at Mack Park here in Denton this Saturday and Sunday. Be sure to get out there and catch a couple of those games. They'll have a doubleheader on Saturday. It's going to be taking place at 5 and 7, and Sunday's game will be at 10 a.m. Ice hockey team, they split their week last week, beating TCU to complete the sweep of the Horned Frogs last Thursday. They dropped a tough one to Texas A&M last Saturday by a count of 6-3. They're going to be taking on Texas Tech the following weekend, October 27th and 28th at the Star Center in Farmers Branch. The Illegals had an active weekend as they sent two teams out to a tournament, both of them finishing 2-3 in their 5 games. We had UNT Paintball, had a great interview with those guys last week. That can be found on our YouTube and Twitter pages. Their black line took first place, and their green line took 4th at their season opening tournament down in Austin. Congrats to those guys. They're vying to become national champions, sitting at 2nd place in the country right now. Hopefully make a few more good tournament wins and make that jump. Wanted to give a huge shout out to the UNT Triathlon Club's Liz Henley. She competed at an NCAA women's triathlon, a regional qualifier, and actually qualified for the NCAA Nationals last week. So congrats to Liz. We'll try to get her on and talk about that in the upcoming weeks. UNT fencing team, congrats to them on their success at SWIFA this past weekend. The foil team placed 4th and 11th. Epee placed 1st and 10th, and Sabre placed 10th. So good work to those guys. Tennis team sent 3 teams down to San Marcos this past weekend, each of them going 1-3. They're going to be sending 2 teams down to Houston this upcoming weekend, so good luck to them and safe travels. The disc golf team will be playing in the Texas Collegiate Disc Golf Championships in San Marcos on November 10th and 11th, so they've been getting ready for that. Good luck to those guys. One more quick update. Dodgeball is going to be hosting a breast cancer awareness tournament next Friday, October 27th at 6:30 in the Bonson Gym. Tournament's going to be open to all UNT students. Registration is going to be $50 per team, up to 10 members per team. So if you want more information on that, it can be found on the UNT Sport Club page on Facebook or on the UNT Dodgeball team on Facebook as well. And last, we had the sailing team had a huge week. They finished 4th at the Kilpatrick Regatta, and their team president, Shelby Thornton, took first place in the singles championship at Oklahoma State in Stillwater, Oklahoma. That gave her a bid to the national tournament in Florida this November. And we are lucky enough to be joined by said president and recent national champion bid winner, Shelby Thornton. Shelby, thank you for joining us. We're also with Liz Batten, another member of the sailing team. So ladies, first of all, welcome to the Clubhouse. Thank you so much for coming on. I've been wanting to have you guys on for a while now, as I pretty much know nothing about sailing. So real quick, let's just hop right into it. Please explain a little bit of, how a regatta works.
Okay, yeah, thanks for having us. So basically the way regattas work is that you have teams who are on the water. You have your start line, and they go and they race, and it's the first one who crosses the finish line is first, second, third, how a normal race works. Sure. But the way you do it is that it's accumulation of scores. So first place will get 1 point, second place will get 2 points, so on and so forth. And then they add them all up by the end, and whoever has the least amount of points wins. So if you get first every single race, and there's 5 races, you'll have 5 points. Second will have, 10, and that's the point difference. And you try and kind of close that gap the best you can, and usually it's 1 day, sometimes it's 2 days. The boats we sail are called 420s, and so they're double-handed boats, and we'll have an A fleet and a B fleet, and A fleet will go out and do 2 races, come in, B fleet will go out and do 2 races and come in, and it'll go on like that. And for the single-handed champs, it was similar, but it was just one person in a boat, and then we went around, did races, and there wasn't any changing like normal.
Okay, so how many members are normally competing when you go out to regattas? I know you mentioned you guys had 16, 17 guys, which, seems like a lot, but if each person's individually racing, kind of how does that work?
Okay, so the way we can do it and the way we usually do it is that we'll have what's called a berth. So we'll have one berth on the water, and that means we'll have our A fleet and our B fleet, and that together will be one team because their scores are added together at the end. And so we'll have 2 people in A fleet, 2 people in B fleet, and they'll race the whole day. Usually we'll switch up who crews, which is the second person in the boat. But we can also, the way we can also do it is have 2 teams. So we can have 2 berths, and that would be 8 people total on the water. And then we can also have like a women's team and a co-ed team. There's a lot of variations, so depending on how many people are wanting to go to the regatta, we can kind of vary how many people we have on the water and racing. But almost always everyone gets to race at least once or twice.
So, we've kind of talked about this a lot with other clubs we've had on the show so far, but sailing seems like a super niche sport. How hard is it to get people to come out and, pitch sailing? Because, every time I hear about it, it sounds awesome, but it also seems like the kind of thing that, would take a lot of time and money and really take work to get good at, so.
Yeah, that's definitely a big problem we have is people will look at it and they're like, oh, I couldn't sail, I couldn't do it. Even if I tried, I couldn't do it. And it's like, no, it's pretty easy to pick up the basics. It's definitely a hard sport, but it's easy with the right instructors and the right people. So I know myself and the vice president and another member on the team, we're all what's called level 1 certified coaches, and we do it pretty professionally. And so we're good coaches, and we come out and we teach people, and it's a lot easier to learn. We're actually pretty cheap as far as a sports club to go, and we do a carpool. We make it as easy as possible to be on the team and join. But a lot of people just kind of hear sailing, they're like, oh, I couldn't learn that, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, like Shelby said, it's really accessible here to sail at UNT because our dues are very, very cheap. And we have all levels of access on the team. I've been sailing for 11 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But we do have members who just started sailing this semester. So if you want to, sailing sounds like it's going to be fun to you. Just come out and give it a shot.
So you mentioned you've been sailing for 11 years. Kind of where, are there high school sailing leagues? Kind of how does that really work?
So my personal sailing story is I've gone to Canada every year just to visit some family.
Wow.
And my parents decided one summer they were going to sign me up for sailing lessons, and I kind of went in kicking and screaming, and I didn't really want to be there. The second I got in the boat, though, I absolutely loved it. So didn't turn back since then. I mostly, up till this point, have been skippering with my sister. Okay. So it's kind of been a family thing up until I found the sailing club at UNT.
Yeah, so there's high school sailing. It's not really that popular, but there's also, for Texas itself, there's what's called the Texas Sailing Association, and they do the Texas Youth Circuit, or the TSA Youth Circuit, and that's what I did, and that's what our vice president did. And usually a lot of people who get really into sailing will have done some form of a youth circuit. A lot of different states have their own, and it's essentially different yacht clubs all over the place will host regattas, and then you'll travel there and you'll go compete, and then they'll do like their own nationals. There's a USA team, and so there's something called team trials that happens, and so like little kids and their opties all go off and qualify and then go compete as Team USA and team trials. And it is in the Olympics, so there's a lot of people who will go on the Olympic development team and go forward. And then there's just people who like learn at like Girl Scout camp. There's one girl on our team who did that, and it's very varying because you can compete in it, but it's also a very like casual sport. There's lots of different ways people get into it, but most common from what I've seen who people really race from is like a youth circuit of some sort.
So what's the rest of the season looking like? I know you mentioned your spring is really when you compete the most, but you guys have already had good success in the fall so far. So what are we kind of looking at, not only from a competition standpoint, but from expectations?
So I'm personally going to nationals in about 2 weeks, which is really exciting. It's UNT Sailing's first ever nationals, and we're super pumped that we qualified and that we're going. And then we have Sugar Bowl, which is New Year's Eve, and we may or may not be going to one more before the season's over. It's a little hard to sail when it's cold, but yeah, our springs are really big seasons. We're really excited. There's going to be 3 national qualifiers that we're going to try and go to and hopefully qualify, and it's exciting. Do you have anything?
Yeah, we're really looking forward to doing the Sugar Bowl, which is going to be actually on New Year's Eve at Tulane. And we're going to be sending a couple people out there. We're really, really excited about that. I personally have some really high hopes for our spring semester. Our new members on our team have been catching on to sailing really, really quickly. and I'm really optimistic about how we're going to do next season.
So, Shelby, talk real quick, obviously, again, congrats on, I didn't realize, first ever UNT national bid.
Yeah.
So will that be a single tournament for you then? Is it just going to be you on the boat?
Yeah, so the way single-handed champs work is it's just one person on the boat, and it's in what's called a laser, which is not as popular in college sailing, but it is a Olympic boat that people sail on, so it's pretty big. So it'll just be me going down to Florida, and I'm taking the vice president with me, and he's going to kind of coach me through some stuff.
Okay, nice. What are you expecting going down there?
I'm expecting to do okay. So CISA is our district, and there's a lot of different districts, and mainly in the north, it's a lot more competitive because it's a varsity sport, and so they actually recruit, and they get people, and usually if you're sailing in the north, you'll go on to do the Olympics at some point in time because you can do a pretty solid bid. So I'm not expecting to go in and win, but I'm expecting to go in and learn, and it'll be a great opportunity for me, and I think to bring back information for the team.
So then, is there not a distinction between the varsity, kind of like an NCAA more or less, and a club program? Are you going to be, going against other varsity programs?
Yeah, so there's no separation at all because with sailing, the laws are kind of a little weird. You can't legally provide scholarships for sailing, and so that's why a lot of schools don't view it as a varsity sport. So in the South, in our district, there's only one school that is varsity, and that's Tulane. In the North, almost every school is varsity, and they have like $1 million boats and like $1 million funding. It's insane because it's like really intense varsity sport, and they're really competitive. Stanford, Harvard, they're really, really intense about their sailing programs. And then down here, we're not as intense because it's not, I guess, as popular. Or they're not allowed to provide scholarships, but what they do is they recruit, and their coaches go get people, and then they like provide sort of scholarships. They'll give them more academic scholarships that they normally wouldn't have been able to qualify for, and that's kind of how they get away with it. And so we're competing on the same level, even though Stanford just got a brand new like $3 million boathouse that they're using, and we're down here, we got our whole $10 that we're making work. So it's big variations, but the district we're in is more on our level, so there is that, which is good.
Right. Anything else you guys got you want to throw out about sailing for the upcoming season?
This season is more, if you want to join, this is a great time to, because this is where we're really cracking down and just teaching people how to sail, and we're going over racing and the basics. And, our team has a rec team and a competitive team, so we have a group of people that just come out to have fun on the water, and we have a group that's really competitive and is out there to race, and so you can do either one. And the fall's a great time to do it because it's still pretty warm and the water's not too cold, and it's just like, it's a fun time when we come out and we goof around, and our team's really close. We're like a little family, and we hang out a lot of time outside the team too. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
Like Shelby said, our team's really accessible because we do have the casual team and the race team. But if you think sailing is something that you might want to come out and do, we're going to be there. We have practice on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're pretty accessible with when you can make practices, when you can't. We have a carpool going out there if that's going to be an issue for you. But yeah, sailing's a great time.
Perfect. We will make sure Club Sports eBoard at least gets out for one of the practices. If y'all can show us how it all works. I have to ask, how do you think we're going to do out there?
You'll have to have definitely someone in there holding your hand a little bit through the process, someone in the boat. So that's one thing that's really different about sailing is you can't just hop in and kind of do it. You'll just kind of flip over. So, but we got you.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. But okay, perfect. Well, Liz, Shelby, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Shelby, good luck at Nationals.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone else, thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of The Clubhouse. We'll be back again next week with more exciting UNT Club Sports action. But until then, I'm Jason Feltz. Have a great week.